Thank you for the invitation. Again, my name is Jessica West. I live in Newmarket, New Hampshire, a little over an hour away from here. Speaking in front of people is not my forte. This is my second time sharing this witness publicly, so bear with me. Again, I'm a mother of 4 children, very happily married. This is mostly a conversion story. I lived a life for myself. I was abused as a child, sexually abused as a child, and it led me into a Great Depression my whole life, where I was in and out of the hospital, suicide, attempted suicide, and I just really I never saw the light. I grew up without God. I grew up with my mom and my stepdad, and we went to Protestant churches every once in a while, but we really didn't talk about God much. I really fell into line with drugs and alcohol. I was seeking happiness in all the wrong places, and that really took control of my life, and I ended up meeting my first husband at a bar. Dated for 6 months, got pregnant, and I thought that I was in love, and really it was all about lust at that time. And we ended up having our son, and we got married on the beach a couple months after that. And I just knew that it wasn't right, it didn't feel right. I really wasn't in love. And after a couple months after our marriage, we ended up separating. I left him, and again, I was seeking happiness in all the wrong places, and I started dating very, very shortly after we separated. And during that time of separation, I knew that I needed something else. I knew I needed God. And my dad had just started, he grew up Catholic, but he had fallen away from the church, and he kept telling me that he was praying for me, and I kind of brushed it off, but I did really appreciate it. So we, eventually I just really in a dark place, and my dad taught me how to pray the rosary and introduced me to Our Lady, and I could really connect with her. I couldn't connect with Jesus at that time because of male wounds, but Our Lady was very gentle. She seemed very gentle to me, and I knew that she could lead me to Jesus when the time was right. And so I don't know if you guys have heard of a place in Bosnia and Herzegovina called Medjugorje, but I learned about Medjugorje, and it really, really caught my attention. And there was this man, one of the visionaries, who was going to be local, and my dad invited me to come witness him, praying the rosary together and going to Mass. It was my first time entering a Catholic church. It had been like 10 years since my grandfather's funeral. And during that time of his apparition, I received a vision. In my vision, I was holding a baby, and I was on top of a mountain. And I kind of brushed that off. I didn't really know what it meant. I thought I was kind of daydreaming. The next morning, I found out I was pregnant. Here I was going through a divorce with my husband, and I was dating someone new that I knew wasn't going to last. So I was scared. I was angry. I didn't want to be pregnant. I felt like my only option was to escape. And I started to not pray again, and I felt like I needed to go to an abortion center. And everyone around me, the people that I felt that were closest to me and my biggest support, they were in support of me. of having the abortion. So I made that appointment, and I walked in, and I remember seeing the ultrasound of the baby, and they told me that the baby looked good and healthy, and it was there that it hit me that there was a baby inside of me, and it was a gift. So by the grace of God, I walked out, and it was at that time, right after that, that I decided that I wanted to enter the church. I went through RCIA to become Catholic, and my daughter was born 2 weeks early on October 7th, which happens to be the feast day of the Holy Rosary. And the following year, I was invited by my dad to go to Medjugorje, but I was told it wasn't a good idea to bring children. So I found a babysitter or family to watch my oldest son, and my best friend, who was also a nanny, was going to watch my then 11-month-old daughter, so I could go on this pilgrimage. I was really feeling called to go on this pilgrimage. 2 weeks before we were to leave for Medjugorje, my best friend and nanny became ill and was not able to watch my daughter for that pilgrimage. So I knew that it was either meant for me not to go, or she had to come with me. And through a lot of prayer, a lot of rosaries, I was told that it was a mistake for them to tell me it wasn't a good idea to bring kids, and that she was definitely invited. I got her passport within 3 days, and she came on the trip. And just a lot of praying. Medjugorje really changed my life. It brought me to a closer relationship with Jesus. Our Lady led me right to him. She never sets herself higher than him. And there's this mountain called Cross Mountain. And I remember climbing up that mountain and praying the rosary, and we got to the top of the mountain, and I realized that was my vision. I was holding my baby on the top of the mountain, and that pregnancy with her was a cross. It was very difficult, and I was alone and raising a 3-year-old and a baby by myself, and I just remember being on the top of that mountain and just praising God that I was embracing my cross there. And so fast forward, I now I'm newly married. I met my husband in line at confession, of all places, and kind of a really, really funny story, but we were waiting in line, and he didn't realize that we were in the line for confession, so he skipped everybody and went right to the confessional, and an older woman confronted him when he got out of the confessional, and so it was like, that was really rude, you just skipped all those people. So he came over and apologized, and when he came over and apologized, I missed this part. I had started Catholic Match, and I remember seeing his profile picture. And so when he came over to apologize, I was like, I remember him from the website. So sure enough, after confession, after Mass, I went home and I found him online. I found him on Catholic Match, and I was like, hey, were you the guy who skipped everybody online at confession? And sure enough, we went for coffee and talked about everything you're not supposed to talk about on a first date, and I knew he was the one. And so that's it in a nutshell. Thank you very much.